Welcome to America's #1 Cincinnati-based museum podcast, Meanwhile at the Museum, the show that takes you behind the scenes of Cincinnati Museum Center with our friends who work here and our friends from across the city, the country, and beyond. Over there on the ones and twos is our producer and co-host, Magic Mitch.
Hey.
I'm your host, Cody Hefner, and today is a very special episode because we don't have just one guest on today. We're going to be revisiting several because this is a celebration of our 50th episode. We've done 50 of these.
We've released 50 episodes before this one.
So this is 51.
51, and that isn't including our previous top 10. But it's also a celebration of the second year of the podcast. We launched in July of 2023.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
So yeah, a lot to talk about.
So today, what we're going to be doing today is we're doing kind of a top 10 of the last 25. So we did a top 10 of the first 25 episodes. Now we're doing a top 10 of the last 25, and these are just some of our favorite moments for one reason or another. 25 cutting down to 10, which means we each kind of got to pick 5 out of 25. A lot of really fun guests because in year 2 of the podcast, we branched out and we didn't just stick with staff here at Cincinnati Museum Center. We did people from around town. We did people who were OmniMax directors or
exhibit producers.
So we really, got to branch out and have a little fun and talk with some new people. And yes, some of them made it into the top 10, but we also had a lot that were on staff that we really enjoyed talking to. So
yep, and you really could pick something from every episode we do, but we're trying to keep it short here, so we just picked 10 of our favorites.
It was fun because when we compared notes, we had a lot of that were pretty similar. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. Or we picked the same episode with different moments.
Yeah.
So it's also fun from a behind the scenes perspective to see what stands out to you versus what stands out to me. I notably did not pick any moments that A, dealt with Mountain Dew. B, the movie Twister, the cinematic masterpiece Twister. Was Twister nominated for any Oscars?
Possibly something related to effects,
like sound mixing or effects.
Something like that. But
has to.
Nothing's coming to mind.
It certainly did not win any meteorological awards from Randy Rico or Cameron Harden, but and none that dealt with poop, which is also.
There's plenty of all three of those to pick from, but
topic.
I guess nothing really stood out.
The first one, and these are in no particular order, so if you're listening and you're referenced, don't get touchy about it.
Not a ranking.
It's not a ranking. We couldn't rank them all, but our first moment comes from our conversation with Dean Regas, rogue astronomer extraordinaire, where he finally convinced me that Pluto is in fact not a planet.
Yeah, it is still a hot topic. It's 19 years ago it was reclassified. I say still demoted. I think demoted is right. They're trying to say it's reclassified. Like,
my very excellent mother is not serving us 9 pies, what is she serving us? 9 what?
Nachos.
Oh. That's good. All right.
Yep, there we go. Problem solved. And another conversion.
It's amazing that all it took was to rewrite the brainwashing from elementary school to turn me on that. Dean is not a Pluto apologist, so
not at all.
Straight up demoted Pluto. But for very good reasons. If you listen to that episode, he raises a good point that it's not, are there 9 planets or are there 8 planets? It's, are there 8 planets or are there 2,000 planets? Because if you classify Pluto as a planet, several other celestial objects.
Yeah,
then
there's just a lot of them
qualify.
out there. A bunch of them we probably haven't found yet. But at that size and similar orbits, there's just a lot of stuff out there.
And what's fascinating about Dean is he's not a classically trained astronomer, so that's not what his degree is in, which I think actually helps because he speaks about it in a very relatable way for people. But he's very excited about it. It's one of those things that it seems to be a passion he sort of stumbled into. And sometimes those are the best things because you get to it by choice and it just like takes off. What's your position on Pluto? Coming into it, were you an 8 or a 9 guy?
I grew up being told Pluto was a planet too, but it's fine with me. I understand why Pluto got demoted, so I'm good with it.
I like that you grew up being told Pluto was a planet, so you're really layering it in like you're indoctrinated on the planets.
I mean, a lot of sciences, especially space stuff, it can feel abstract because it's not something we can experience directly. But we still want to make sure that we're following all the facts that are available. And, I grew up being told Pluto was a planet. I didn't experience Pluto being a planet. I was just told that, and then I was told it wasn't.
That's true.
And I was like, well, let's look at the science. And it's like, well, I guess that makes sense.
It makes dioramas easier, too. Did you ever have to do one of those things?
I don't think I ever did.
I think that's just in TV and movies.
My brother made one.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had to make one, but I never did. And we went to the same schools, so I don't know what happened. Just different teachers, I guess.
That's wild. I bet those teachers aren't. Actually, you should talk to your brother about this. Ask him how he feels, because is he mad that he had to do extra work that wasn't for a fake planet?
We'll have to go back to the model. I'm not sure if at that point Pluto was included or not.
Is it one of those things that your parents still have? Every now and then your parents are like, hey, I found this box of stuff in your old room. Do you want it?
I'm not sure if that one still exists. We'd have to see. Of course, another part of the thing that makes Pluto maybe not a planet is its orbit is very different compared to the other planets. It's not in the same sort of plane.
That's right.
So that would be kind of hard to work into the diorama where they're all kind of, in a circle, concentric circles.
Wow. For teachers listening, we're sorry that we're going to encourage this. For parents listening, you should encourage this. Kids in elementary school just asking questions, why? How do we know? Is actually really great, because you come and you get to be an adult and you study this and you learn this stuff, and it's asking why and it's challenging. That makes us better. That makes us smarter. It confirms certain things. It disproves things. And science is very much a kind of trial and error thing. It's it's kind of like the American legal system. It's a fact until proven incorrect, or it's incorrect until proven fact. I don't know. Apparently, I've seen more Law and Order than I've seen Carl Sagan's The Cosmos, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Close enough. Our next entry was an awesome conversation over. It was a super cool moment overall, because we got to speak to a legit Blue Angel, a U.S. Navy Blue Angel, like cream of the crop, elite flight squadron. Lieutenant Commander Monica Borza, who
is also an OmniMax movie star.
Yes, like she wears many hats. She's a lieutenant commander in the Navy. She is an OmniMax star. She's a doctor, and she's a Blue Angel. That's awesome. And we had her on because we were showing the Blue Angels in the OmniMax theater. If it ever comes back around, if it's ever shown as a classic, you should absolutely see it. It's
for sure.
It's amazing. You see it so much closer than you would on the ground at an air show or something like that, which is still incredible and impressive, but they mount the cameras directly on the planes and in the cockpit, so you are literally wingtip to wingtip with these pilots.
And it was the first time that the Navy allowed civilian aircraft in the air with the Blue Angels. They were up there getting shots all around the planes from every angle. It's really an amazing experience.
But on the ground, watching their every move, in the meetings with them, is Lieutenant Commander Monica Borza, whose call sign is Doc, which makes a lot of sense. It's also super fun. In the clip that we pulled, we noticed something in the pilots on film that, to my untrained medical eye, I was like, is that the best thing when they're pulling so many G's and doing all these maneuvers? So let's take a listen to Lieutenant Commander Monica Borza. As the flight surgeon, I have to ask, so many of the guys are chewing gum while they're flying. How, with everything
you picked up on that.
Yes. Are you like, come on, guys, what are we doing here?
Well, it definitely, I will just say the pilots have, that is a non-negotiable for the pilots. So even though Doc may say, hey, that's not maybe the best idea, they have other reasons for it. So it helps a little bit with equalizing pressures and whatnot while they're flying. So, can't hate on them too much.
That to me, I think in a lot of movies you have these hotshot pilots and they're always chewing gum, or they take their gum, they put it on the, in their cockpit on the dashboard or whatever. And it's legit and real. Like, you're watching these pilots and you're seeing them like get sucked back in their seats, but they're still chewing gum at the same time. And to me, I was like, that's
Seems like a choking hazard.
yeah, that's crazy, Doc. What are they doing up there? And it's probably unfair that that's the clip we pulled, but that was a lot of fun for me to ask her about some of the nuances of the film. But the whole episode with her was incredible because it talks about the training, it talks about the selection process, the trust, the physical condition that these pilots go through.
And how she went from, medical school to actually learning how to fly planes. She's not doing the demonstrations, but she had to learn how to fly and be part of the Blue Angels crew.
Yeah, and she's monitoring, their heart rates and blood pressure, all this stuff while they're in the air, but also making sure that they're recovering properly, that their nutrition is on point, because this is incredibly taxing on the body what they're doing. These maneuvers, they're not just flying from point A to point B. They're pulling really incredible maneuvers, have to be super sharp because each individual is responsible for the entire squadron while they're up there. So that was, and the fact that we got to talk to Blue Angel.
Yeah.
I don't know how often we're going to get to do that.
Probably not anytime soon.
Do you want to introduce our next clip? Because it is such a 180 from hosting a Blue Angel. No offense, but it, this one gave me a chuckle.
We got another great guest from the Cincinnati area, Mark Borison. He's the host of the Jungle Gyms podcast, and that whole episode was just a lot of fun. Mark's got a lot of stories. He's met a lot of people. He's done a lot of things. And one thing that he did, he's also an actor. And he was in a local heating and cooling company's commercial in which he was dressed as a giant cicada. So we asked Mark if he could give us his best cicada impression. And here's what we got.
But before we move off cicadas, I do want to hear your best cicada impression.
Sorry. That definitely clipped.
It did. It did indeed clip. I had to turn it down a little bit. We got it cleaned up, but yeah.
He jumped right into it. There was very little pause, and he was ready to go. And I remember sitting here as he did it, and I was like, that's a terrible cicada.
It's better than anything I would have done.
The following weekend, I was outside at a baby shower, at which I won a contest on female empowerment songs because it was for a little girl. Nailed it. But as I'm sitting there outside, the cicadas are chirping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mark actually nailed it. Mark was pretty spot on. So I sent him a message and I said, I'm sitting here and these cicadas are doing a really wonderful Mark Borison impression right now. But
oh, that's good.
I think that set the tone for the entire episode, and actually it's pretty on point with Jungle Gyms. If anyone's been there, it's such an eclectic place. You walk in, it's just a really high energy place. It's not overwhelming or anything, but it is just going there and experiencing it is worth the trip. And Mark is such a great person to be kind of the voice and face of Jungle Gyms, to host that podcast, to dial up that energy and just kind of let people share stuff that they're interested in, that they really love, because that's what Jungle Gyms is also. People walk in there and they find things that they really love or that is meaningful to them. And we also compared in the episode a little bit how Jungle Gyms can be like a museum in that way.
Yeah, it's a lot like a museum. And to see some of the crossover between Museum Center and Jungle Gyms, both being iconic Cincinnati destinations for people out of town, the way we both interact with culture and food with our Create Culinary Lab. There's actually a lot of surprising crossover between Jungle Gyms and Museum Center.
Another character that we had And this was a treat. We must have been on the nice list for this to happen. We got Santa in here.
Santa Claus himself.
On the podcast.
Yep. He's here every year from November to December, meeting kids, hearing their Christmas wishes. But he took some time out of his very busy schedule to come up here and talk to us.
We had to bribe him with milk and cookies. We kind of set a trail of cookies for him to find his way up here. But he was readily in. And we got a little taste of Santa's backstory and deep lore.
Santa's got all these stories that, that they don't make it into the cartoon specials. But when you talk to him, you actually get to sit down with him. You get to hear all these tales of the North Pole that you just wouldn't believe.
Mrs. Claus and I like to walk a lot. We go out and take hikes. And, of course, we got our friends. We've got Polar Pete. He's my polar bear friend. He's the best tracker you've ever want to find at the North Pole. He actually has found a lost elf horse once that got lost in a blizzard.
Really?
And Polar Pete went out and found her and brought her back for us. So we got Polar Pete, and then Nippy. Nippy lives at the North Pole. I don't know if do you guys know? Have you ever met Nippy?
I don't think I know Nippy.
I've not met him.
Oh, he's a snowman.
Really?
He is one of the most crazy, funny snowmen that you'll ever meet, ever. When he was born, you know what they got for his arms? They came into our shop and got some broken hockey sticks. So he has broken hockey sticks for his arms. And carrots, he doesn't do carrots. He's got a yellow squash that's twisted down for a nose. Oh, he's a character.
He sounds incredible. Everyone really gets caught up on Santa, on Christmas Day, making the trip, around the world. They think of Santa in a sleigh zooming through the sky. They don't think about what Santa does in his downtime.
Yep.
And Polar Pete and Nippy. Who knew?
The North Pole is quite a community. If you talk to Santa and hear some of his stories, they've got polar bears and elves and all kinds of stuff happens up there.
He said Nippy is the funniest snowman, the funniest and nicest that you'll ever meet, which makes me think, like, are there mean snowmen? Are there all business snowmen?
We might need to get Santa back up here to tell us some more tales. But I think Nippy is actually Frosty's cousin, is what Santa will say.
Really?
That's what he says.
But the Santa episode is a blast because you think you have enough questions to ask Santa and get information. You don't know Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got to know Santa. I mean, the backstory on this guy is incredible. Our next moment is hilarious for me. We were talking to Erin McCandless. She is wonderful. The way I would describe her and the way I did describe her, unfortunately, she agreed. If I was trying to point out Erin McCandless to you, I would say look for the person who's a redhead that looks like a first grade art school teacher. And that's her to a T. But
yeah, and she readily accepted that because she was a former art teacher.
And she validated something else that I have been saying for years. Let's listen. Is Charmander, is he fiery too?
Fire type, yeah.
Yeah, I put you as a Charmander.
You think I'm a fire type?
Just because of the hair?
Yeah. Just because of the hair?
It's not often I'm outnumbered by redheads in this office, but right now.
So, okay, Erin, what do you think? Do I have red hair? As a true redhead, do I have red hair?
Your beard is really red.
Okay.
And so that brings the red out in your hair, for sure. I would say you're a redhead.
Yes.
See, I don't think I am.
That's a wrap.
I don't.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I kind of feel like
I didn't want to say you weren't if you really thought you were.
No, I don't think I am. Everyone else says I am, and I'm like,
you're red adjacent for sure.
Adjacent, sure, but like.
But redhead's not how you define yourself, and I think that's what's important.
That's not my label.
That was awesome because a lot of things. One, she said the red in your beard brings out the red in your hair, not that the red in your beard makes your hair look red. She's saying that there is red in your hair.
I mean, there might be a little bit there when it catches a certain light.
What is this? So this is a really fun moment because clearly it's you don't label yourself as a redhead. Is it do you not like being labeled as a redhead? Or
I just don't
are
think
you
it's the truth.
You just think
Nobody told me I had red hair until I started here at Museum Center. And now a bunch of people do, but mostly here. Like, I'd never been told that before. So I was just really confused by it. I was like, I don't have red hair.
we've said this before. Very early on, we started at the Museum Center. I asked if I could call you Big Red, and it's one of my favorite interactions because very flatly, but also in a way that you didn't want to insult me, as you probably felt like you were being insulted. Very flatly, you just said, "I don't know why you would," which tipped me off. Oh my God, Mitch. Does Mitch not have red hair, or does Mitch not think he has red hair?
Well, that's why I went to ask Erin, because Erin very much has red hair. And if you listen to the episode, she'll readily accept that label. So I just, I thought I'd go to the expert. But anyway, the rest of the episode with Erin, I felt like was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with Erin. As you can see, we started this clip talking about Pokemon, and we talk about art and all the stuff that she gets up to in the museum, making programs. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We went on a little candy bar tangent as well. Apparently, she does not think you don't need a full-size candy bar. And it's probably because she also mentioned she really loves a Heath bar, and I don't think anyone could eat a full size of that. So we go on a little tangent about candy bars for a while, which was very enlightening. And one thing that was great with Erin is anytime I've asked her to do an interview with media, she will find 100 ways to get out. She does not want to be on camera. And it's a shame because she's really great at it. She's really great at what she does. She loves the programs that she helps create and puts on. But she gets nervous to be on camera. And she was like, she took off from the minute we started recording on that episode and was amazing. So that was a super fun episode, and I think that's a great clip to kind of sample that, I think.
Our next clip, we have a partnership here at Museum Center with Elevation Sciences, and they do digs for dino bones out in Montana. And we are the repository for those bones that they collect, because they're collected from federal lands, and fossils collected on federal lands need to be kept in a facility that can properly care for them, and we are that repository. So you can see Katie here in the museum working downstairs, cleaning bones and preparing them, and we were asking her how she knows that what she has when she's reassembling these bones from fragments is part of the fossil.
Now, there is a little bit of a difference between a fossil and the rock around it. Mm-hmm. At least at our dig sites, there's a little bit of a color difference. Usually our fossil is a little bit darker than the rock around it. There's a texture difference. It kind of looks spongy inside. And even with that sponginess, too, one of the best ways to test is sticking it to your tongue.
Is that true?
It is true.
Why?
I usually don't do it if there's already glue on it, but yeah, it'll stick. It's the little holes in the sponge, or that spongy look. It'll stick right to your tongue and kind of suction on a little bit.
That is crazy.
It is crazy.
I've heard that before. I was about to ask.
Yes,
I was going to ask if that was legit.
It is legit. It is legit. I don't do it all the time, but it is kind of a fun thing to do. Especially on our first day out in the field with like a whole new batch of people. It's kind of fun to just like stand there and just stick it to your tongue.
Did you know that before Katie told us?
So I'd heard of it, like you. I didn't know, exactly how it worked.
Had you tried it? You never tried it?
I'd never tried it.
Have you tried it since?
I have tried it since.
Okay.
I was filming down in our paleo lab with Katie and Cameron, our collections manager, who we'll talk to soon on the podcast here. And when we finished the shoot, they were like, "Do you want to try licking a fossil?" And of course I did. So they pulled off a fragment from the shelf of a fossil they're still preparing, and I got to try it. I got to lick a dinosaur bone.
And it works,
It
right?
really works.
It kind of feels like like it's a Velcro.
Yeah, it's almost
type
like
feeling.
a Velcro thing. It was a lot more than I expected to be, really, as far as how it sticks. Like, I thought, my understanding of licking a fossil is like if you lick it, like the texture would be different, not that you like stick it to your tongue. So, Katie told us how it worked, but I was really surprised when I finally tried it myself.
I think it's this thing that it's like one of those things kids tell each other or you kind of hear about. You almost think it's like this urban myth, but it works. It's wild, but it does make me realize. Have you ever licked a rock?
I don't know if I had.
Is it just
Maybe?
because we're not licking? Like, would rocks do the same thing? Just no one licks rocks.
Maybe certain kinds of rock, like an igneous rock, like pumice.
Yes.
That has
Okay.
kind of a
That's what I was
porous
going to ask.
texture.
That's lava formed rock, right?
Yeah.
Igneous.
Yeah.
What's metamorphic?
That's like when it gets like all these years of like heat and pressure, and it kind of like morphs it and like changes it.
What's the third?
Metamorphic. Sedimentary.
Okay, and that's like limestone.
Yeah,
Shale?
like where it like layers.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were going to get a little rock lesson here in the middle of it, but it does segue very nicely into our next clip because Brian Pollock, who is kind of our STEM resource and STEM education guru here, was literally a rock star. He played the same stage as a rock star.
Now, his performance was science rather than music, but he had all the same roaring crowds. So let's go to the tape.
So for anyone listening, to summarize this, with a physics degree, you could be the pyrotechnician for like KISS or something, right?
Sure.
Who else has a lot of fire?
I saw Creed this summer, and there was a lot of pyrotechnics at that one. I was
Yeah.
surprised.
Man, this is going to really tap into our Creed base, which we've not done enough of. Do you feel like a rock star when you're doing this kind of stuff? Like, you feel...
So
like,
every once in a while. So like I said, I just played the same arena as Billie Eilish, right? So that helps.
That's pretty awesome.
I was only on stage for 10 minutes total between 2 intermissions, but still, I had probably just as many screaming fans as she did. So
Heritage Bank Arena, where the Cincinnati Cyclones play, and where Billie Eilish has played. I looked this up, can seat over 17,000 people. And what Brian's talking about is doing a science experiment during intermission, and this is always a favorite. Puts a bunch of ping pong balls into a big old Rubbermaid trash can, fills it with a little bit of water, and then throws some dry ice in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the ping pong balls explode out of it. Makes a huge boom, and the balls just go flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite demos here.
And he did this. He's done this for the past 3-4 years or so. And they do it on a day where they bring in a bunch of school groups into a Cyclones game. So you have all these school kids packing the stands in the middle of a hockey game. And Brian comes out and does this giant ping pong ball explosion, and they just go crazy. And he said when they measured the decibel level, it was prolonged exposure would be dangerous between the explosion of the ping pong balls and then the reaction from the kids.
Yeah, it's quite a thing to see. Really cool. And, it makes you feel like a rock star if you're the one lighting that fuse.
And
metaphorically, there's no fire involved.
The other parts of the conversation in that episode 1, we heard a little bit of it. Anytime we get to talk about Creed, super fun. So I love that you mentioned Creed had a lot of pyrotechnics because
it was a lot of fire. It was going like the whole show.
And you said during the Creed show you had to wait all the way to the end to hear
there are 4 songs that most people who are not the true Creed fans
name them.
Okay, so you got the
Higher,
right? My Sacrifice. I don't know if this is the official title, but the 6 Feet from the Edge song.
Yeah.
And then With Arms Wide Open.
Those are
the 4 songs that anybody who is not a true Creed fan probably knows anyway from hearing on the radio. If you were around in the late 90s.
Late 90s, early 2000s, yeah.
But those were the last 4 songs they played.
And if you are a scientist, you have a STEM, a chemistry degree, you could do pyrotechnics for Creed. So aim high, kids. That's the other part of the show is we want to give you different career paths.
Aim higher?
Can we play a clip of that, or do we have to get licensing for it?
I think that would require some licensing.
All right, we'll just sing it then.
Another true Museum Center rock star is Chris Beadle. He doesn't work here in the building very often because he is the person in charge of our Richard and Lucille Durrell Edge of Appalachia Preserve System.
Which is about 60 miles east of Cincinnati Museum Center in
out
Adams County.
Adams County. And he's been out there for almost 40 years.
Insane.
And it's incredible what they do out there. One, maintaining the land, but all the scientific research they do. And he gets into all kinds of things that you wouldn't think. Like in this case, building a walkway out in the woods, miles from anywhere that you could drive to. So they had
paved roads and
yeah. So let's listen to him tell the story.
And if you wonder what Chris Beadle does, out there, you can look at the decking and the walkway that was built out there in the winter, in the dead of winter, hauling all the lumber in by hand, concrete, the whole deal, the whole team packing all this in and building this thing all, pretty much for like 2 months up there.
It looks great. I saw it before you did that.
It was brutal. The wind was just like, your hands are like frozen, your toes are frozen. I mean, it was probably the roughest thing we've done.
And you're hauling concrete in by hand too, or wheelbarrows, or
up on the back on the old shoulder, because you had to walk a trail to get in there. We didn't want to like drive, a lot of stuff in there.
All right, so Chris Beadle has been with the organization for 40 years. If you're doing math, at best, he's 58. But he joined the organization after college with an art degree. So Chris Beadle is 60 plus, and this dude he's a mountain of a man. He's
really
6'2",
at least.
Like tall, strapping guy carrying bags of concrete on his shoulder up the hill in the wilderness. Insane. Like it is. It truly is. And we talk in the episode that basically he says when I can't do this kind of work, when I can't, move functionally and I can't, move the things I need to, that's when I'm going to stop working because it is so critical to what they're doing out there. But the scale of it, and that's just a small sample of the physical work it takes beyond just kind of the naturalist knowledge and knowledge of the forest and the trees and the animals and everything that's out there.
Yeah, and if you've been to the Edge, the project that he's talking about is the Buzzard Roost Rock. They built a walkway out onto the rock. Before that, it was kind of just like, a dirt trail. And it looks great, and it's really impressive.
Buzzard Roost Rock is, if you Google the Edge of Appalachia Preserve, it's going to be one of the first images that comes up. It is one of the most iconic and photogenic places at the Edge. But this space is 21,000 square acres. Chris Beadle, Mark Zloba, and now Sam James, who's a recent addition to the team, they help manage that with the Nature Conservancy, but they're leading naturalist courses out there. They're maintaining the trails and the chalet that's out there. They're also doing incredible research like banding eastern timber rattlesnakes so that they can track them. And it's not tracking them to know like, hey, there's a rattlesnake nearby. It's tracking behaviors and movements and things like that so we can learn more about them to better protect them and understand how changes in the ecosystem are impacting them and vice versa.
Yeah, the Edge is a really special ecosystem. And there's areas of prairie, there's areas of forest, and there's some animals that are found very rarely outside of that kind of environment, like the Allegheny wood rat. So it's important work that they're doing there.
And just overall, Chris Beadle, and speaking to him was just so nice. Like truly he's this incredibly fascinating person, but makes you feel like everything you're saying, it matters and means something, and you feel like you have a personal connection right away. He's just such an amazing person, and that was such a nice episode to learn what he does and just marvel at it as well. Another person we got to talk to was one of our paleontologists, Dr. Glenn Storrs. He's our Withrow Farney curator of vertebrate paleontology, because a museum like ours is lucky to have not one, not two, but multiple paleontologists. One that focuses exclusively on vertebrate paleontology, like dinosaurs, mammoths, mastodons, all that good stuff. One that focuses on invertebrate paleontology, like trilobites, Dunkleosteus. But Glenn Storrs, we had on, and of all the amazing stuff he told us, the big takeaway for me and for parents everywhere, I guess kids really everywhere, is that all chicken nuggets are dino nuggets. Everyone always says, oh, it tastes like chicken. Do chickens taste like dinosaurs, or do dinosaurs taste like chicken? What do you think?
Kind of the same thing, really. In fact, there's been a study done on that, sort of tongue in cheek, for Thanksgiving one year, I believe, where somebody did a cladogram or
how close
evolutionary
your turkey
tree.
is?
Yeah. So your turkey and your chicken are is a crown group, like right at the top of the tree, and then you've got your theropod non-avian dinosaurs branching off from that, and down at the bottom you get towards things like crocodilians and lizards and snakes, and so.
For any parent of a picky eater who's listening right now, whose kid is complaining because they'll only eat dino nuggets, all chicken nuggets are dino nuggets.
That's right. That's right.
We got our paleontologist to confirm that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you visited the museum, we've got a whole section in the Dino Hall devoted to the transition from what you might think of as a dinosaur, our theropod dinosaurs, to birds, both millions of years ago, and then how that relates to modern birds, and how all modern birds are dinosaurs.
A lot of people think that, or think dinosaurs and birds are related. There's a lot that happens in between there to get there, and that's something that I think we've done really well, is try to connect that pathway and that line and show why scientists believe that, and point it out on some of our dinosaur specimens. But one of the things that's great about Glenn and about a lot of our curators is they need two things. They need to be incredibly skilled at what they do and in their field. They need to know what they're talking about. But two, they need to know how to talk about it so people actually relate to it and care about it. So I really appreciate Glenn playing along and going along with it, because he talked about the evolutionary line does come from dinosaurs down to birds and chickens. And so it is true. And yes, there's a lot to unpack in between there. But know your audience and know who you're talking to. And Glenn looked at me and said, this is a 10-year-old. I need to talk to him like he's a 10-year-old and let this kid have this knowledge that dino nuggets are, in fact, made of dinosaurs.
Well, he's talking about that study that somebody did around Thanksgiving, and it kind of points to the way that, scientists like to have fun too, and there's a lot of fun to be had, even within research and what, people might think of science as being kind of like stuffy or like, in a lab environment or austere. But no, scientists have fun.
I think he talked in that episode also about what T-Rexes being the gateway drug to paleontology, and paleontology really being the gateway to science overall. So
yep.
That's something that he really loves. And T-Rexes, they show up in all kinds of movies and media and science fiction and stuff like that. And you could be a stickler about it and be like, well, that's not really what they would look like or how they would have moved and blah, 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 blah. Or you could just appreciate this is getting someone interested in science in some way. Now, we're going to make sure that we're portraying that information accurately and correctly. But if they say, oh my gosh, I can see dinosaurs at the museum, and they come in because of something they've watched in a movie or on TV or something like that, we'll take it. Like, let's get adults interested in learning again. And show them all the little rabbit holes that they can go down and have some fun with.
That's right. Our next and final clip, we've got Dave Dazinski, who worked here at Museum Center for, 40 years?
40 years, yeah.
40 years. And if you've known Dave over the years, you probably knew him. He worked in exhibits. He worked all over the museum. But if you knew Dave, the Omnimax Theater was Dave's baby. He was involved in film production. He was deeply involved in picking the next movies. He gave feedback to directors and producers on what they can do to improve their films. Dave and Omnimax were synonymous. So it was really interesting when we talked to him to hear that it almost didn't go that way.
So I heard about the job here at the museum and took the job, wrote the program. They asked me to stay and write another program. They asked me to stay and write another program. So I worked at the planetarium there for 5 years. And all the while, the museum was planning to move to Union Terminal,
right,
which I had
very little knowledge of. I was in my own little world producing planetarium shows. And DeVere Burt, the director at the time, came to me and said, Dave, I'd like for you to switch your career path and go run this Omnimax Theater thing we're creating over at the new building, Union Terminal. And I said, I don't want to do that.
Ultimately, he did.
Ultimately, he did. Yeah, so what I really like about that is, so a little bit of context, Dave started over at the Natural History Museum when it was on Gilbert Avenue, and they had a planetarium, and he ran the planetarium, and he programmed all the shows, and he planned it all out. So that's what he came for. He was trained in astronomy. That was his thing. So he's asked to do this Omnimax Theater, and he's not interested. But it's just really interesting the way, you know, careers work, that he ended up building such a career in the Omnimax Theater that, you know, sometimes you don't know where things are going to go, and you don't know where you're going to find your passion until you find it. You stumble across it. And what I picked out of that was, I referred to it while we were talking about our list here, as the moment where Dave refuses the call of adventure. If you know, like, Joseph Campbell, A Hero with a Thousand Faces, the hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's like when Luke Skywalker says, I can't go with you to Alderaan. I got to go home and do this farm stuff. It's just like a moment where he says, I don't want to do that. But he ends up taking it up, and it becomes a whole thing.
Yeah, we all get to these kind of crossroads. If everyone takes a moment and they think back, why am I where I'm at right now? Whether that's personally, professionally, whatever, you get these little moments, and sometimes when it's the power of saying no that leads you one way, or the power of saying, yeah, I'll try it, or yes, I'll do this, that leads you somewhere else. And for Dave, I mean, he was the Omnimax guy. We all, like, synonymous with it. That's, you put it perfectly. And it almost didn't happen. He almost didn't allow that to happen. And he knows so much about the Omnimax that we can't even imagine. He'll forget more than we'll ever know about the Omnimax. He was honored by the Giant Screen Cinema Association just a couple years ago for his involvement in the Omnimax industry. I mean, he's one of these guys. He goes to these conferences. They screen all these movies, all these films, and they're like, Dave, what do we need to do? What do you think? And he's just like giving notes left and right on films that may or may not even come to Cincinnati Museum Center, because he had developed such an expertise in this field.
Yeah, it really is incredible. He's, I think, the only person on staff with an IMDb page. Yeah, very impressive. We got to go update his IMDb page because it's woefully out of date.
I know. I think Dave's selling himself short. I also want to see what headshot he picks for himself, but maybe we can submit that.
He's got executive producer credits on so many films. He probably doesn't remember all which ones he has credits on.
And like major productions too. It's really incredible. So that's our top 10. I do want to throw in a bonus one for you, Mitch. We had Jason Perkins on, our vice president of IT, and in his rider, which I didn't know our guest had riders, his rider stated that he got to talk Star Trek at least for a portion of the interview.
Yeah. So when I was talking to Jason and telling him to come on the show, he's like, if I'm coming on, I want to talk Star Trek. And I was very glad to have it. Now, ultimately in the episode, I did have to cut it down a little bit because it kind of went on. We had fun chatting about Star Trek, but maybe not terribly interesting for people who are not fans of Star Trek. But like I said, we had a lot of fun. There's a good chunk of it still in the episode. And I put together sort of a montage of us nerding out. Next Gen,
Deep Space Nine,
Benjamin Sisko, Branch Timeline,
the Kelvin Timeline, Romulan,
the Narada,
Nacelles, Pylons, Warp Fields,
First Contact,
Speed of Light, Replicators, Enterprise,
Picard,
United Federation planets, Starfleet, phasers on stun,
Reverse the Polarity on the Deflector Dish,
Q, the Borg,
Spock,
Kirk, McCoy, and Spock,
Section 31,
Vulcan,
Boimler,
Garrick,
the Federation.
That was amazing. That's amazing. It was really fun to witness live. I think I just kind of wheeled back from the microphone and I had nothing to contribute. And it's not because I didn't want to. My Star Trek knowledge is severely lacking. But watching you and Jason just light up, talking to each other was super fun.
You had some good questions. We dropped some Star Trek knowledge on you. So Yeah, and anyone who wants some Star Trek knowledge, come to me and Jason, and we'll set you up.
So we've done a Star Wars exhibition. If we ever do a Star Trek exhibition, would you and Jason agree to do like weekly, just like imagine putting you in a little glass box and people push a button and you just throw out a random Star Trek fact?
Sure, absolutely. Now, Jason, I think he's seen all of Star Trek, which, if you're familiar with Star Trek, is a lot of television, like 1,000 hours of television. I'm working on it. I'm getting there, but I haven't quite seen it all yet.
The mashup of Star Trek terms, it's so fun. I don't even remember half of those coming up, but it's probably one of those things where I don't know what these words mean, so they just pass right by.
Yeah.
Listen, we've had a lot of fun. Over 50 episodes here on Meanwhile at the Museum. We're looking forward to the next 50. I think the next time we'll do this is probably going to be after our 100th episode, so we'll have an even harder time picking some of our top 10. But none of this would be possible without all of you listening, so thank you for listening. If you've been on the show, thank you for being a guest. We've really enjoyed the conversations, and I think everyone else has too. So we're looking forward what's to come in year 3 and in episodes 51 through 100 and beyond. Thank you all for listening to Meanwhile at the Museum. Remember, if you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe, or send us questions or comments at meanwhile@cincymuseum.org. But most importantly, come check out Cincinnati Museum Center for yourself. Visit cincymuseum.org for the latest reasons to visit. We'll catch you next time.